Pau Hana Years, a new day for older Americans, a time for living. Your host, Bob Barker.
Hi, and welcome to the program for and by the senior citizens of Hawaii. Well, today on Pau Hana Years, we have a rare treat for you. In the same kitchen, the two top television culinary artists in the country, French chef Julia Child and Chinese chef Titus Chan.
Aloha.
Aloha.
And
So
with these
happy
two
to be here.
extraordinary personalities in the same kitchen, we don't know exactly what will happen. Julia, what are you doing in Hawaii?
Well, we're here on a vacation. We were here earlier doing some cooking demonstrations for the benefit of the Honolulu Symphony, and I hope they made a wad of cash.
Have you been to Hawaii very often?
No, this is my first time. My husband was here on the way back from World War II in whenever that was.
Yeah, about 45 or 46.
About 45 or 46, and he's found quite a few changes. There weren't any high-rise buildings.
I see, a lot of changes.
Oh, but we just love it. It's a marvelous place.
Did your cooking shows start on the public television network, Julia, or did they start on the local station?
No, they started on our local station in Boston. In Boston, we have what is known as the Eastern Educational Network that just went up to Maine and Schenectady and around there. And then I think the San Francisco station was the first station to take it on, and Pittsburgh. And in those days, that was before PBS.
Yes.
And it was, and the show was kind of bicycled around to the various stations. But what I think is very important now is that we do have a public broadcasting network, so that, say, when Titus is on, he can be on the same day all over the country, and you can build up a little bit of interest in it.
Right.
So it's very important, and we must all push for it.
Well, you know, Titus did his first shows here in Hawaii on Pau Hana Years on this program, and then went on to the public television network.
Yes, right.
Because we get him in Boston, and he's all over San Francisco, because we were just there, and they'd all said how much they'd enjoyed you, Titus.
Thank you.
Titus, how was your audience response across the mainland?
I think the response has been a lot better than we expected. Roughly, we are getting about anywhere 1,500 to 2,000 letters per week, and
That's wonderful.
Secretaries keep me so busy in order to send the recipes.
Do those mainland haoles have any trouble understanding your Chinese?
Oh, that's why we call them haoles.
Because they don't understand it.
That's right. In fact, I think some of them do. That's why they write, and some of them wrote from Canada. And Julia, I tell you, the letter they wrote, it's just like counting me as one of their members of the family.
Well,
you know.
very nice.
Right. They're very courteous and on. They send Christmas gifts and then Valentine cards and asking for my pictures, autograph, and things like that. What I should say is, you send your picture first, right?
And they all call you Titus.
That's right.
Exactly. That's very nice.
When they come down here, they give me a call and just chat over the phone, and really heartwarming.
That's nice.
The audience response has been really good.
And then do you, at this station, do you send out recipes?
We do, and provided they have a self-addressed envelope and put a stamp, things like that.
I think some people don't realize that the more money you can save in a public television station, the better, so that everyone should send in a stamped, self-addressed, long envelope.
That's
Do their little part,
right.
do their little part.
Exactly.
Julia, we didn't want to bring you in here and put you to work, so we're going to ask Titus to do some cooking today.
I knew it.
for us.
Okay.
Well, I love Chinese food, because we were in China during the war, and I don't know much about it, and I'm here to learn, Titus.
We'll show you a dish.
Good.
What are you going to cook for us today?
I'm going to cook the so-called kumu fish in sweet and sour sauce for two purposes. One, to honor Julia coming to here, because I saw her to do the poached salmon with wine. It was terrific. And then I think this fish, poaching it that way, is very tender and it's very good for our Pau Hana Years viewer. So I think it's a very good thing.
Right ahead.
And you're going to poach it in that?
Right, we're going to poach in that. And this is
That's a
the
marvelous thing, that rock, isn't it?
Right. So Julia, I'm going to show you, yeah? Right. From the beginning, we are going to study this, what we call kumu. That's a beautiful fish. It's the fish in the Chinese community. And it's very expensive, of course, a fish like this. Don't get a heart attack now, it's about $10, you know.
Wow, is it really?
It really is very expensive, $4.75 a pound. But it's very good because the quality is good. White meat don't have a lot of bone, so it's really terrific thing.
Is there a cheaper fish you could use that wasn't as pretty?
I'm glad you asked that. I think so, you know. Once you learn this folks, you can substitute with small salmon, it would do.
Oh, yes.
Right, and mullet, it would do.
Is mullet sort of reasonable priced?
Over here, yes, we do have some local one and some mainland one. A lot of them from New Zealand, about $1.30 a pound.
Oh, good.
You know, nowadays the food is so
So
high.
this is a basic recipe.
Basic recipe.
Good.
That's right. We call it poached fish with sweet and sour sauce. That would do the job. So now we are going to cut it, score it a little bit so that it would be easier to cook. So you cut it up a little bit so that the heat can get in very fast. Now, after we do that, so you simply put it in the wok. This is the wok with about 10 or 8 cups of water. So long you put it in, and then the water would cover the fish. You know? And then this is fresh ginger. Of course, we take about roughly 2 square inches of fresh ginger, and then you shot it a little bit. Oops. So you just dump it right in there. Then we got a bunch of green onion. We shot it a little bit. Nowadays, everybody says, oh, every time I cut onion, I cry. But nowadays, you don't cry anymore. You cry when you buy, right?
Yes.
So you just put it right in there. Then that's all let's do it. That's all let's do it. You simply bring the water to a boiling. And then for every pound-and-a-half fish, you gently boiling it for about 15 minutes, then the fish would be done. Then you use a fork. You use a fork to prick where the heavy meat is, and you move a little bit. If the fish faking out easily, then the fish is done. And then again, you look at the eye of the fish, you know, right over here. If the fish eye is turning out to be white and tend to popping out, then the fish is done. And Julia, I tell you one thing, you know, a lot of students come down to my university cooking class. They refuse to eat the fish because it's got the head in there.
Well, that's silly, isn't it?
I watch you do your fish, and you do it the whole thing, so I just
It's
tell
the
them.
French always use it. Because if you don't have the head on, who knows what kind of fish it was?
That's
and who knows how fresh it was?
That's
Yeah.
right. We check whether the eye is black or not. Yeah. So if it's black, and then you know it's a very fresh fish. And when the eyes are white, that means it's done. He may be blue eye or brown eye, whatever the case may be.
When it's white, it's done.
That's right. Now, in the Chinese way, we think if we cook a fish in whole, you are wishing the honoree having everything is whole, is perfect. And that's the Oriental thinking, right? So now, once we put everything in over here and we simply let it cook, then we beginning working on the sauce. So these are the ingredients about the sauce, yeah? We would take about half of a green pepper. You cut it into a bite size. Don't ask me how big that bite size is, just depending how big your mouth is. So once you cut it up all into bite size, then that would be a part of the ingredients, and also very good color contrast. So we are saying half of a tomato, half of a onion, green onion, and then 1 stalk of celery, cutting all up. That would be your ingredients. And then now for the sauce, now sweet and sour sauce. So all we need to do, you need about 1 cup of water, and then 1 cup of brown sugar, which we have it up over here, and then 1 cup of brown looking vinegar. Here in Hawaii, we call it takai, you know. Then you use a shot or so hot sauce. And then you use about a fourth of a cup of ketchup to make it very pink, so it looks nice. And then you would need about 2 tablespoons of cornstarch with 2 tablespoons of water as your thickening base. Then you simply bring this to a boil, and then you gradually stirring this in to make the sauce. Now, before you stir this in, you cook your vegetable a little bit, then the sauce will be made. Now, right now, we are cooking it like this. By the time we are cooking this, as Julia would tell everybody, you watch out so it won't overflow, yeah? Otherwise, you become a professional kitchen washer. So that's the problem, right? Now we covered it up a little bit just to make it a little faster. We move all this aside, making it work a little easily. We put all this right in here. By the time the sauce is coming to a boil, you cook all this vegetable in there about a minute or so. Then you stir it in the thickening base. Then we'll be in business. Now, while we're waiting for this, the fish is gradually cooking. You got to cook it slowly. That's why we call it poaching.
Julia, have you done much Chinese cooking?
No, I love eating Chinese food because we were in China during World War II, and I just love it.
You were in Kunming, weren't you?
Kunming and Chongqing.
Right, and Chongqing. Now that's about the northern food.
Northern, yes.
Right. Chongqing at that time must be the capital of China.
And there were
that time.
all kinds of refugee Chinese, and they came from all over. So we had Fujian and Sichuan and Peking and all kinds of cooking.
Is there a difference between northern and southern Chinese cooking?
Oh yeah, definitely, Bob. Roughly, we would say this way: for the Cantonese cooking, you got a more blended flavor. The cooking time is faster. The temperature isn't that hot. I mean, for the temperature. But for the northern food, generally is hotter because there's no so-called house heat at home. Yeah, so you have to depend on the hot in flavor. After you eat it at noon, then you drink a few cups of hot tea, it will last you until the evening. Then you eat it again, you just crawl in the sack, keeps you warm. So that's why we do it that way.
Titus, what part of China are you from?
I came from mainland China. We call it Guangdong, Canton. That's actually where I come from, right?
So it's Cantonese cooking.
Cantonese cooking, yes.
How does that differ from Shanghai cooking, or is that the
Shanghai
same?
cooking is you use a lot of spices. Cantonese cooking is very good with fish and things like that
Sweet
because
and sour.
sweet and sour thing,
Yes.
right? You know, in Canton we are right at the mouth of Pearl River.
I see.
That's why we got the shark fin soup and things
I
like
see.
that.
Yes.
Right.
No.
Now we are having this boiling, and then we simply stir this up. One thing you got to do is really stir this up so that it would be mixing up. Otherwise, you're simply pouring the water and say, "Here, let's go, thicken it up." It wouldn't do.
It's all lumpy. What?
It would be very lumpy. That's right. Now, this is something about the Chinese cooking. If the sauce coming to a boil and then you put this in, the sauce would look very shiny. Otherwise, it look dull. Right. So now, this is hard boiling now, and then we stir it in here. I got to tell you one thing, Julia, sometimes I wait for this and I run short of jokes, nothing to say.
Nothing happened, I
and
know.
this doesn't come to a boil.
But that's strange. To keep it shiny, you keep it at the boil.
Yeah, you come to a boil and then you put it in now, as you can see now how shiny it is.
A little at a time.
Right,
yes.
a little bit at a time, yeah. So like this.
Yes.
Right. And then
this is cornstarch.
cornstarch with water, right? Cornstarch with water, and then you wait until come back to a boil, so you know all the cornstarch is being cooked, so that then you simply turn it off, and after 15 minutes as we talk, then we got the fish. People say we're cheating, you know. That's how the fish would be done now. Once the fish is done, you're decorating up with all kind of fancy type of things, such as this. Of course, this one is what we call the fresh water chestnut. It adds to the dark look for your decoration, right? And this is a piece of orchid, as you know. Over here, you can use it for decoration or for anything else. I think that there's something that everybody already know in Hawaii. Maybe you don't quite know about the way the girls wearing the flower. So I like to tell you, when you are walking in Hawaii, you see a girl wearing flower on her left-hand side. She is single looking. All right. When she wear it on her right-hand side, then she is married. When she put it right on her top, right in the center, then she's married and looking. But now this thing everybody know in Hawaii. I thought you might be interested in knowing. All right, then we get about a cup of Chinese pickle. putting right in there, that would make a little taste different. That thing you can buy in Chinatown anywhere. Or if you don't want to, you don't have to do that. Now we got a nice sauce. So all what we need to do right before you serve now, that's something very important. If you pour it in and you don't eat it, it makes the fish very soggy. And then you should serve it very last at the whole course of the evening, because the sweet and sour sauce would overpower the taste bud. So now we pour it right on.
Smells good.
Put it right on here. And all you need to do, you use a tablespoon and a fork. You scrape up everything, then we got a nice fish over here. All right, now, Julia, I have something very special for you. Since you are coming, we know you are so graciously wanted to come in here and do the show with us. I have something saved up. Now, this is what we call the Mao Tui. Mao Tui. That's the wine that President Nixon drank when he was up over there. And I did a research in the Orient last May. I ran through about 4 or 5 different countries, you know, and round up something interesting. I saved this. And would you like to taste a little bit? Okay, now I must warn you now, yeah? This is very strong, you know.
Is this what they used to call tiger bone?
Tiger bone is another one. Tiger bone is more or less for medicine. Yeah, you use the tiger bone, you soak the tiger bone in wine. And they call samching. I have it over here as well. Now this is the...
But this is more liquor than a wine, is it?
Yeah, this is more or less a spirit also.
A spirit, yeah.
Right, right. So now you
It's going to knock us
get
down,
that.
Bob?
You think we should give Bob a little bit?
Be careful.
Okay, we give Bob a little bit. Now let us have a toast.
It smells like a French. It smells
Right.
a little bit like Mar.
Yeah, it's a little bit that way. Let us toast to our Julia's happiness and our viewership for Pau Hana Years and the success of Pau Hana Year program.
Thank you.
Cheers. Wow, it's very strong, isn't it?
That is strong.
It's a little bit like tequila, too, isn't it?
Yes,
Yes, it is.
Very
It's
strong. What's it
something like
made out of? Is it distilled rice or what?
Well, I think the name called Mao Tui is this way. When they first came out, you know, everybody give a different story. I couldn't have to laugh, you know. Actually, what that is come from that village. It's called Mao Tui, and they got the kind of water very pure. So they hired the best kind of brewer, those very skilled winemaker to come to that county to do the wine, and they made out of some kind of wheat type of thing. It's not wheat nor rice. So that's how it comes
It
that
tastes
way.
like a combination of tequila and mar. Do you know the mar, which is made after they've pressed the grapes and they have just the residue of the seeds and the skin. Then they let that re-ferment, and then they distill it. And it has a kind of taste of old leather rather than the way this does. It's very good. I like it. But it does. I like it.
Right, try.
In other words, it tastes like an old shoe. Is that it?
No, but
That's an insult, Bob. This thing, you know how much it cost me when I was in Hong Kong? It's $16. And I told them, look, I speak Chinese, you know, how come you increase so high? And they said, ever since President and drank it, 4 times that much.
It's gone up 4 times.
4 times
since
that
President
much.
Nixon drank.
Right.
heavens. Well,
You brought that from Hong Kong?
Yes, I brought it direct from Hong Kong, saving for special occasions, such as when Julia come to visit us.
Very nice.
delighted.
Thank you. Now, this is what we call the kind of wine we call it samching. That means you brew it 3 times. When you're using this wine to soak the tiger bone, that's supposed to help your leg, you know, circulate the blood or something like that. It would be a good thing. And then this is the wine, we call it Ngapi. It's more or less for the ladies, this kind of wine.
Sweet.
Sweet, right. And then this is called Mui Kwai Lu. That means the dew from the roses. That's the Chinese cooking wine. Would you like to smell it a little bit?
Is that rice wine?
It's rice wine. It's rice wine.
I love it. And you serve this heated in little tiny cups?
Very, very tiny cup. Yes.
I love that. It goes very well with Chinese food. You know
Very
that,
tiny,
Bob?
yes.
I just love that.
Right. By the time I was doing the show for Mike Douglas, you know, during the time the recess, everybody wants to smell it, and I told them, folks, smell only, because we want them to drive home safely. And this is the best wine as far as for cooking is concerned. So right before you serve, if you want to cheat a little bit, 1 teaspoon. 1 teaspoon. 1 teaspoon, almost 50 cents already. So
Is it that expensive?
Oh yeah, $6 for 10 ounces.
Terrible.
Right. So by the time you pour it in, you say 50 cents, a buck and a half, then you lose money. You stop. Okay, that's all we need for over here. Now, Julia, I'd like to show you a little bit about some of the special Chinese vegetable. I think that you would like to see.
Like
you know.
to know.
Now, this is so-called what do we call?
Sugar cane.
Sugar cane. That's right.
That isn't
Sugar
Chinese.
cane. We use it to discipline people over here. That's so-called Chinese ochre.
Now, what is that? How does it look when you cut it open?
You
I mean
this
the Chinese.
okay. The Chinese
I'd love
squash.
to see that.
It would be like that.
Is it bitter?
No, bitter melon is another
It's not
kind.
a bitter melon.
Good taste, isn't it?
Yeah, it tastes a little bit like a cucumber.
Right. Right.
Good.
Normally you peel it first and then you do that. Now bitter melon, this is the bitter melon.
Oh.
This is bitter. I don't think you would like to taste it. Very bitter though. This is a different type.
Easy.
We are glad to have you to taste all this.
Now, how do you use this?
You simply cut it into half. Cut it into half first, and then you take the seed out, and then you cut it into bite size.
And then
out,
you saute it?
And then you saute it, yeah? Now French cooking, you call it saute, we call it stir fry. We call it chao. Okay?
And then does it have a slightly bitter taste or
Yes.
no?
Which is
a
why
nice,
it's good.
that contrast of flavors that's so good in Chinese food, yes.
Right, and then we use a little black beans, black bean
I
with
love
beef, it would be.
I have not seen that before. As I can taste now a little bit of bitterness in my mouth.
Now, this is winter melon. I think the Chinese have a very, very clever way of cooking this. You take this out and put soup in it, a little ham, a little jingle nut, things like that. You steam it for an hour so that the soup will blend all this in and makes a very fancy kind of Chinese
and it's the
cooking.
French pumpkin soup that's done very much the same way.
Oh,
Take the pumpkin. They must have gotten it from the Chinese, don't you think?
well, I think the Chinese will get it from the French. All right, then another thing would be fresh ginger. We got the fresh ginger.
Does that grow here in Hawaii?
Some of them grow
Beautiful,
in here.
isn't it?
Right.
Very unusual.
A little bit goes a long way.
It really does, and it makes the sauce or any kind of liquid look very good. And this is a so-called choy sam. It's a little wet.
Let's see that. Is that a member of the? That looks like is that a member of the cabbage family? It's
It grows about 4 feet tall, and this is the top of it.
It's like collards or it's collards or mustard greens.
Mustard green.
Mustard
No, but
green,
it's
yeah.
all part of the cabbage family. One of the most ancient plants on this earth, isn't it? This kind of
Right.
thing. Yeah.
It's been a long
Delicious.
time. Right. Chinese
Lovely.
people using it a whole lot. Right.
Well, the French use it a lot too. So do we in the southern part of USA.
I see. Well,
So the Chinese didn't invent everything.
I hate to disagree with that. Now, this is mango, as you see, yeah. Mountain apple.
Well,
This
that
is
looks like a delicious apple, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
this you eat it
Is it
raw.
the same?
This
But
you
is it
eat raw.
an actual? No, it isn't an apple. What is it?
They call it mountain apple.
And what's it? A cactus or what?
Bob, do you know
I
anything
don't know.
about it?
I
What
don't
does it
know.
look like when you?
You're
can
the
you
cook.
cut it open? Can we see what
You
it
simply
looks like?
okay. You simply eat it. You simply eat it. Not much people using it for cooking. It would be nice taste though. You got a seed over here.
Hard seed.
That's lovely.
You want a little piece of mango too? Okay.
I'll eat anything. Well done.
Right.
Isn't that delicious? Is this ripe or not quite ripe?
This is about right. About right. So
It's lovely.
Very good.
right. This is
It has a
mango,
lovely soft taste.
and I better give your hand up a little bit.
Delicious.
Julia, I want to give you a knife. I was so impressed the
Oh.
time you take out the knife, you said, this is what that Poland did. Boy, it scared me to death. That knife is
Oh,
so long.
yes.
So this is a very good direct from
how
China.
lovely.
For about the 22 years, first time it come out. So this symbolized the happy beginning of a good relationship between the Chinese people and America, and this also symbolized the happy relation between you and the people in Hawaii and public television here, KHET.
Very nice.
Very nice.
Very
I'm
nice.
very
Thank you.
touched. That's a fascinating. I'd love to know how to do that.
Thank you.
Fish. It's so good.
Next time you come around,
Thank
we
you,
will show
thank
you. Thank you.
Julia, have you ever done any cooking shows in France?
Well, we did some filming in France. We took our camera crew from Boston over to France, and we filmed the fishwives in Marseille, and we filmed the markets in Nice, and we went to Paris, and we filmed an old pastry chef and several French bread shows. And then we went to Normandy and filmed a pressed duck, which was very interesting.
Pressed duck,
That
yeah,
French
yeah, right.
way of taking the duck and roasting it very rare, cutting off the breast and the legs, and then putting the carcass in a press and squeezing out all the juices. It's lovely.
Have you done any cooking shows in China, Titus?
No, I haven't yet. While we're on this, I hate to say, you know, in China, people we got cooking is a little low trade. Yeah, unfortunately, that way. Right.
Though the thing is, Titus, I think shows like yours and like mine upgrade the profession, because it's a very good profession. Now look what you're doing. You're teaching, and you're teaching mathematics, and you're teaching cooking, you're doing television.
Thank you.
And if you weren't a good cook, you wouldn't be doing it, would you? No, and the same with me.
That's right.
So I think it's something for any young people who are interested in any of the senior citizens who have grandchildren should urge their grandchildren to go into cooking. It's a marvelous career. You can write your own ticket. You're a free man. You can do whatever you want.
Exactly.
I think it's a marvelous career, and I think young people should be urged into it.
I should think so. Yes.
Julia and Titus, thank you very much for being with us today. We've enjoyed having you both in the same kitchen. And that's Pau Hana Years for today. Until our next program, this is Bob Barker leaving you with this thought. We may live without poetry, music, and art. We may live without conscience and live without heart. We may live without friends, we may live without books, but civilized man cannot live without cooks. He may live without books. What is knowledge but grieving? He may live without hope. What is hope but deceiving? He may live without love. What is passion but pining? But where is the man that can live without dining?